Jai Hind everyone, welcome back to the Patriotic IAS. Let's start our IAS PCSwala Daily Current Affairs. We will see that near about 6-7 topics that we will cover today, and they belong from the different GS paper, prelims, mains of the UPSC as well as the state prelims. So here you will see that the first news that we are going to take is the sounding the gravel on the curative jurisdiction, and this is the part of the judiciary. So it will help into the prelims to know that what is the difference between the review jurisdiction and the curative jurisdiction. And even you can write a mains answer when there is the questioning the relevance of the and impact of the curative jurisdiction. So we will do it in a very comprehensive manner. This is very much conceptual concept that there is the minute difference between the review petition and the curative petition. Curative petition is a type of the review petition, but at the higher level. This is the discretion of the judiciary, the Supreme Court, and it is not mentioned directly into the any of the provision of the Indian Constitution. It comes from a judicial judgment that was into the 2002, and the name of judgment of the Rupa Ashok Hurra case. So please remember all this thing. We will do a study that will be very comprehensive. So it will be for the prelims as well as for the mains. Then we will study trust in the machine. Here we will see that on the front page as well as the editorial page, the Supreme Court judgment story that came on the Association of the Democratic Reform case 2024. And here the judgment came that we are not going back to the ballot paper. This EVM system is good and it is helping lot of into the making the electoral process smooth. Okay, so we will study from the front page as well as editorial page. So it will be for the prelims, again for the mains as well. Then we will study the right and the future of the India's Masjid. Here it is the political in a nature, but it comes under the GS paper 1 society. Under that the communalism is a topic. So no topic we are going to study without the relevance. Here, despite its nature, it is controversial in nature, but it is relevant for the UPSC because it is clearly into the GS paper 1 society section. And in the society there is the topic communalism. Communalism. Okay, so we will study under this, and please remember this is very important topics. Communalism, secularism, regionalism, all they are part of the society section. So we will study under that, but whenever we are going to write into the mains of the UPSC or the state pieces, just avoid the name of the political parties or the leader. Here, to make it clear, conceptual clarity, we will mention the name of the political parties and the leader as well. No issue, because this article has given these are the view of the different of the export. Okay, so please be careful about this. This type of the topics are controversial, but they are the sensitive. UPSC has asked many of the questions. I will show you. Okay, 8 for the war. This is with respect to the war that has been proved into the representatives of the into the Senate of the US, and here there has been the $95 billion of the aid for the Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific region has been approved. Then we will study that and distress into duas. So here we will study the geographical perspective of the duas. What is the characteristic feature? Then we will study the nature and the impact and the grievances of the workers into the tea garden on these areas. So this will be for the GS paper 1, the word human geography, as well as the GS paper 3 agriculture and the GS paper 2 government scheme. Okay, so there are the many of the topic that you can cover under this. Then we will study that a campamento terra libre. This is the indigenous people, they do the gathering, and there is the movement on the right of indigenous people into the Brazil. So we will know that the basic about that, because that could be asked into the prelims. So this will be all about from the today's news analysis. Let's start from the front page. The front page read that the SC backs the EVMs, rules out the revival of the ballot paper. So here we will see that the Supreme Court has rejected the demand for the ballot paper, and it said that the EVM system is good and there is no proof of the manipulation. So here, and sufficient sufficient check has been there to the any of the manipulation. So here it has given that there has been so many weaknesses into the ballot paper system, and we will not go into that system because there is the negative impact, because India is a vast country with the population and the voters 97 crores voters. Now the population is 1 crore 40 lakh 140 crore, but the electorals are the 97 crore. Even this is the highest among the world. Okay, the number of the polling booth, that is the in the lakhs. Okay, you should know the history of the EVMs. EVM first used into the 1982. It was into the assembly constituency of the Paravur into the Kerala. So, and it was gradually implemented across the India. And in 2004 general election of the parliament, whole India, this EVM was used. Okay, so here the court is of the view, if you will skeptical and it is unwarranted, so it impede the progress. Now you cannot say that the telephone has the misuse, but you cannot say that we will not use the telephone, mobile phone or the internet. Yes, there is the many misuse, but we have to bring the check and balance. We have to use and we can take the benefit of all the developments. Okay. Right to voter to question is right. The Supreme Court said that yes, there is the right for the voters to question whether their votes are going to those candidate where they have voted or not. So here their rights are good, but it should be cautious. Whenever you are going to questioning, it should be the cautious. Otherwise, if you are going to again and again impose some of the criticism and aspiration on the integrity of this EVM, that will compromise the integrity of the electoral process. People will not trust and people will not go for the vote, and that's why it will decrease the democratic credential of the India. Okay. So here it has been rejected for the 100% verification of the VVPAT. The full form of the VVPAT is the Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. A is the audit, T2 trail. Oh, okay, so this was the case, Association for Democratic Reform case. And now we will continue with the 5% of the EVM's VVPAT count, and it will be random. 5% from the one assembly constituency, and it will be random. Okay. Besides that, we have seen that the Supreme Court has said that yes, fundamental right to the voter to ensure their votes are accurately recorded and counted. This is the fundamental right of the voters. But it is not that it will be proved by the 100%. Even the 5% verification and random verification can prove that, and it could fulfill that. And Supreme Court has also not struck down this rule 49 of the conduct of election rule. Okay, so it's penalized the proceeding under that. A voter will go and falsely complain that its vote, the name on the VVPAT was not same as he voted. If the verification is done and everything was equal as whatever has been said by the voters, and if it is not true, there is the panel provision. Okay. Besides that, one good thing is that Supreme Court has asked the Election Commission to bring more robustness, more accountability, more transparency. It has asked the Election Commission to explore some technology so that this VVPAT could be counted in a lesser time, so that we can go for the 100% verification of this VVPAT as well. It is only due to the time that consumed, we are not going for that. Okay. Besides that, one more thing has been directed from the court is that the Election Commission have to secure at least this bound and uploaded memory of the microcontroller of EVM, and it need to be secured for the 45 days from the result, so that if there are the two candidates who have the number of the votes lesser than to the winner candidate. For example, if there is the three candidate there, if there is this first, second and third number of the candidate, the first that is declared the winner, and these are the second and the third largest receiver of the votes. So if they request into the retain, there could be the verification of the 5% of this microcontroller unit, and it is done by the Election Commission of India. And also the authenticity of all this thing can be checked by the Ingenious associated by the district election officer. So this is all about from the this news article. This is very important. Next important news that we are going to take again from the front page, it is the locomotive pilot did not watch the cricket during the Vijaya Nagaram crash. So here, as per the report and the data that was analyzed from those loco pilots, as it was alleged from our Union Railway Minister Ashwani Vishnu that both locomotive pilot they were watching the cricket and at the time when the accident took place. But as per the data analysis, data usage of the mobile phone by the both of the locomotive pilot, it was found that there was not such thing of the cricket match. There was no data from this cricket match that was going on. So it has been proved wrong that yes, it was not. So allegation whenever any of the union minister is making, so they should be careful about that. Next important news, the most important news, yesterday we saw that the Lok Sabha second phase of the election and it was across the 13 of the state, and here the 88 seats, this election was held for the 88 seats and the voter turnout is the 61% as per the recent data. So it is much lower than the previous election that was the 69%. 69 to the 61%. Maybe it could be due to the heat wave that is going on, the hot weather condition. So these are all these things that is possible. Tiwa types, they belong from the Anglong district of the Assam. They have the rich culture already we have studied. And we have seen that the largest number of the percentage that comes from the Tripura, it is 79%. You will see that despite Manipur, there was the violence, but the percentage of the turnout vote is 78%. Lowest, in the first phase, it was the Bihar. In the second phase, it is the UP. The twin sister, UP and Bihar, they are always there whenever there is the thing that is not up to the level. So here you should remember. So this is all about in this phase 1200 candidates they participated. So this is all about from this news. Next important news that we are going to take is from the editorial sounding the gravel on the curative jurisdiction. Here it is talking about the sounding the gravel on the curative jurisdiction. So the main article is about to the curative jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So you should know the basic about the curative jurisdiction. This is a type of the extraordinary power of the Supreme Court that comes under Article 142 of the Constitution of India. So please remember that Article 142 that gives the power to the Supreme Court to declare or give order to do complete justice. Article 142. So this gives, and this is not directly given in this article. If the question asked into the UPSC that does the curative petition or the curative jurisdiction is mentioned in the Constitution of India, so the answer is no, because it is from the Supreme Court judgment itself, and the name of the Supreme Court judgment under that the curative petition comes into the existence. What the Rupa Ashok Hurra versus Ashok Hurra case. Okay, so Rupa Ashok Hurra case. Rupa Ashok Hurra case. Ashok Hurra case 2002. So this is important. Please remember Article 142. And this case came to conclude that yes, if there is need, the Supreme Court can take its own decision and reverse its own decision. Despite there is the review petition already has been considered or the rejected. So what is the review petition? It is above the review petition. Means Supreme Court already have given the judgment, then the review petition will come, and review petition is clearly mentioned in Article 137. So please remember Article 137. There is the difference between review petition and the curative petition. So review petition, curative petition, there is the difference. Okay. Review petition, that is the initial stage, means decision has come from the Supreme Court, then the review petition will be done, and it is clearly mentioned under Article 137. And under review petition already have been, a decision has been taken, or either the decision have been taken or even the review petition has been rejected. After that, if the Supreme Court think that yes, still there is the chance, there is the sum of the fault into the judgment, in that case, Supreme Court take the case again and it can reverse its judgment under curative petition, and it's not directly come from Article 142, but indirectly that come from the 142, and this is recognized under the case. The name of the case is the Rupa Ashok Hudra case 2002. So these are the things that you should remember. This is very important because the review petition and the curative petition, this is the confusing. And the Supreme Court has given some of the ground under that the curative petition is taken. So it is the last resort. Even this is the last resort. Even after the last resort, this resort also come. I mean, this is not the compulsion of the Supreme Court. This is the discretion of the Supreme Court. But this is the compulsion. Review petition can be taken under Article 137. Already it is mentioned clearly into the Constitution of India. So please remember all this thing. This article is talking about the one of the case that was between Delhi Metro Rail Corporation and Delhi Metro Airport Express Private Limited. In that case, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, that one body, rejected the term of the Delhi Metro Airport Express Private Limited. After termination, the Delhi Metro Airport Express Private Limited reached to the tribunal, and tribunal imposed the fine that this termination was not legal and you have to give the fine for the compensation. And even in the Supreme Court, when this appeal was reached, the Supreme Court also upheld the penalty imposed on the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Petition was rejected, and after that this curative petition come, and under that the Supreme Court reverse its own judgment. So this article is talking about that if Supreme Court start reversing its own judgment, it is threat to its consistency, and it is not that much good for the legitimacy of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court considered as the last resort, and the Supreme Court will start giving its own judgment and reversing its own judgment. The people will not have the trust that you are giving your own judgment and reversing your own judgment. So there is need to be consistency and consistency. Okay, and the gravity in your judgment. You should not reverse your own judgment. Here it is mentioned. It is mentioning that it is good that if you have made some mistake, you are correcting. But if Supreme Court do such thing again and again, it's impact the legitimacy. For example, if someone comes to me, and if I said something that yes, this pen is black, and after 10 days again I say no, I forget, this pen is blue. If the Supreme Court is doing the same thing, means if it is giving the judgment and after again under the curative petition it is reversing its own judgment, so it is impacting the legitimacy. The people think that this is the highest court, this is the final court, and whatever it says, it is final. The finality is, if reverse again and again, then there could be the impact on its reputation and legitimacy, and as the Supreme Court is considered at the last resort for every grievances. So here you should know that the basic thing, what is the difference between this curative petition and the review petition, why this judgment was reversed. It was reversed because one of the commission, the name of that commission is the Commission of the Metro Rail Safety. So it gives the sanction for the termination of the contract on the basis of the DMRC terminated the contract of the Delhi Metro Airport Express Private Limited. Okay. But its recommendation was considered as the irrelevant by the arbitral tribunal, and same was considered by the Supreme Court. But in curative petition, the interpretation was changed and the Supreme Court considered that yes, the commissioner of the Metro Rail Safety, the recommendation, the sanction was not irrelevant, it is relevant, and on the basis of that, the termination was justified. So this is all about from this news article you should know. The next important news that we are going to take is again from the editorial, and it is in the news. This is the trust in the machine. So we already have seen that under the case that was taken by the Supreme Court, the name of the case was the Association of the Democratic Reform versus Election Commission of India case 2024. So under that, the Supreme Court has rejected the demand for the 100% verification of the VVPAT, the paper trail that you get whenever you go to cast your vote. So ensure that yes, you have voted and your vote has gone to the same candidate where you have voted. Okay. There is generally the 5 polling booth in the one assembly constituency is verified. This is the rule. It was increased previously, it was near about 1. Now it has been done for the 5. So already there has been the increase, but still there is demand that more number of the VVPAT, more percentage of the VVPAT, more number of the polling booths should be verified. The VVPAT should be verified so that the trust of the common man, trust of the citizen of India could enhance. So here we have seen that the 100% demand has been cancelled and it has been rejected. 100% demand. So still there is the chances that there could be the enhancement, the percentage and the number of the polling booth. Okay. The bench has dismissed to go to the ballot paper, reverting to the ballot paper, considering the tough situation, the lacuna such as the booth capturing, that was very much easy into the ballot system. Now, as per this EVM system, such thing has reduced, particularly the booth capturing due to the rate of the casting vote. In the 1 minute, you can just cast 4 votes. So the number in the 60 minute, maximum 240 vote. But in the ballot paper, in the 60 minute, whole of the ballot paper can be thumbed and can be put into the box. So the chances of the booth capturing has reduced. Okay. Even the court has rejected the demand for the both 15% and the 100%, and it has been into the previous judgment as well. Okay. However, the court has asked and used this petition to review the administrative and technical safeguards that is provided. Okay. So here we have seen that court has asked, please give your recommendation and your suggestion and give the report on administrative and technical safeguard on this control unit and the VVPAT unit. Okay. 2 direction has been there. The first direction that the securing the symbol loading unit for the 45 days after the result is declared. Means the unit under that the symbol of the political party and the candidates are loaded into the EVM, that will be kept safe for the 45 days even after the declaration of the result. Okay. And if there is any of the chance, any of the suspicion, so those who have got highest two highest numbers, means after the winner, there is the 2 more who have the 2 largest, who are just trailing behind the winner, the main opposition and the second opposition. Those, if they want for the counting and the verification of this control loading unit, so this microcontrol in 5% of the EVM that can be verified. Okay, so here it is a good sign. We have seen that the gradual improvement, for example, in 2013 under the Subramaniam Swamy case, the Supreme Court asked to ensure that VVPAT should be there with the EVM. So it was the first step. Second step, it was increased from the 1% to the 1 polling booth to the 5 polling booth into the 1 assembly constituency. Now this is further improvement. Despite there is the rejection of the 100% verification, but the sum of the improvement has been seen. So this judgment again is one further step into the reform of the election process. and bringing the transparency into the electoral reform. So you can use this point whenever you are going to write your answer, and Supreme Court initiated, Supreme Court led reform into the electoral process. Now there could be the verification into the microcontrollers. This is a good thing. Okay, here it is given that already in 2013 under the Subramaniam Swamy case, the VVPAT was introduced. So please remember this is for the prelims. Okay. Court previously advocated for the increase in number of the polling station with the VVPAT. It was previously 1 per assembly and now it is the 5. So this is the improvement. Now they want 100%. So this is not possible because the time constraint is there. Despite there has been the observation from the one of the Justice Sanjeev Khanna. He suggested that if there will be the more improvement in the technology, and the technology can count this VVPAT in a speedy manner, so we can in the future we can count this VVPAT as well. So there is the hope. It is only due to the lack of the technology into the counting of the VVPAT that is just hindering the introduction of the 100% VVPAT, because it will delay the result. Okay. However, we have seen that there is necessity for the Election Commission of India to bring legitimacy in its institution, because we have seen that in the CSDS there has been the survey, and in the survey it has been found that near about 58% of the people, they have reduced trust. Near about 52 to 58% people have the reduced trust into the Election Commission of the India. They do not believe the transparency and accountability and the integrity of the Election Commission of India. This has been reduced. It was not such condition was not into the past. I have said a story that into the first general election, into the 1952, when the first general election was there, the Sukumar Sen was the first chief election commissioner. And one of the voters into the Tamil Nadu, he was standing into the queue, and after standing into the queue, he came out from the queue and asked the polling person, the electoral official there, that please bring the name of the Sukumar Sen into the electoral list so that I can vote for him, because he is the man, only he has done the hard work and we can trust the most, even with respect to the all political parties and the candidates. So that was the trust. The people were protesting to vote for the Chief Election Commissioner. So that was the trust into the 1952, the first general election. Now the trust is so lower that people are not ready to accept the legitimacy, the transparency, the integrity of the Election Commission of India. So here it is given into the last of its editorial. Okay. So this is all about from this editorial. News that we will take is the right and the future of Indian Masjid. So here, this news analysis is with respect to the recent demand into the Kasi and Mathura with respect to the Eidgah, Sai Eidgah into the Mathura, and Gyan Yapi mosque into the Kasi. So here the writer is want to explain that what is the importance of the mosque and masjid for the Muslims. This is the central to the Muslim religion, because the first mosque that was built into the Medina even during the Prophet Muhammad, and after that there was the continuous process and it's become the part of the Muslim religion. Here it is talking that the way the politics is going on, particularly it is talking about the BJP politics. Here it is talking about that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlights the Ram Mandir as a major achievement in his election campaign. Even there has been the softening stance from the RSS. RSS is talking. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat has mentioned that now, here it has given that the Mohan Bhagwat in 2002 said that the Indian Muslim of this generation should not be penalized, or they should not be considered as the culprit for whatever the Muslims have done into the past with respect to the places of the Hindu worship, religious places. So here we have seen that the softening stance of the RSS, but there has been the hardening stance from the BJP and the Prime Minister and many of the minister from the BJP. For example, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has mentioned that the Kasi and Mathura, this should be the given to the Hindus, and Muslims should relinquish the claim on these two places. And they have, Yogi Adityanath has compared it with respect to the Mahabharata, where like the Kaurava, they were not ready to give the 5 villages to the Pandavas. So here, Yogi Adityanath has compared that like that, Hindus are just asking for the 3 places, Ayodhya, Kasi and the Mathura, and Muslims should consider this demand. Okay, so here we have seen that the many of the slogans like the Ayodhya to Jhaki hai, Mathura Kasi Baki hai. We have seen continuously such thing. So here it is telling that even the Jama Masjid that has been impacted, the mosque, the religious places had been impacted whenever there is the rebellion. For example, in the 1857 revolt against the British, that is also known as the First War of Independence. Mostly it was done under the leadership of the Muslim, the Mughal of the Mughal kingdom of that time, Bahadur Jafar Shah. Okay. Here you will see that even in that rebellion, the Britishers considered the Jama Masjid as the central point of the rebellion, and even they considered to demolish the Jama Masjid of the Delhi. Okay, so here it has been revealed by the William Howard Russell, an Indian correspondent for the Times during that time. He has revealed that yes, the Britishers were considering to demolish the Jama Masjid. Okay, so here again, such thing comes to the Jama Masjid as well. If you are going to make the issue of the different mosques, in the last, Jama Masjid will also come under the consideration, and that's why the writer is telling that the mosque and this temple issue, Mandir Masjid issue, that will be continue even after 2024 election, because this has been the central point for the campaign itself. And even the writer is talking about the act that is known as Place of the Worship, Special Provision Act of 1991, that provide the protection of those religious places that was its nature was as that much religion that was considered into the 1947. 15 August 1947, at that particular time when our nation get independent, and whatever the nature of any of the religious place was there, that will be continued irrespective of the historical fact. We will not consider that whether the temple has been converted into the mosque, or the mosque has been converted into the temple, or the stupa has been converted into the temple, or the temple has been converted into the church. That will not matter. Whatever has been there into the 1947, that will be continued. We will not go to examine its religious nature, and we will not going to convert the religious nature. The thing is that now the contestation is that the religious nature itself. For example, in the Gyan Vyapi, what they are asking, they are contesting that yes, the nature itself is the Hindu. Continuously the Hindu worship is there. Now it is not that the conversion from the temple to the mosque, it is that it was the temple itself. There is the modification, there is the manipulation in the thing. Again, this is the same with the Mathura, where the Sahidgah has been considered that some of the part was the part of the temple, and it was given to the mosque under the manipulated thing. So here, despite this act has been there, the nature of the religious places itself has been in the question. So that's why this is into the debate. You should have the query, you should have the curiosity that is still, if there is the act that if already a place has the sum of the religious nature, it cannot be converted. Why they are asking? They are not asking to convert, they are asking that the original nature is itself of the Hindu in the nature. And that's why they are asking, so you should be careful. Besides that, the writer is apprehending, has the suspicion, is worried that it is very easy to amend this act, because this is the normal statutory act. This is not the constitutional amendment. Even if the government can abolish the Article 370, when it was the constitutional act, they will have the very easiness. They will not face any of the challenge to amend this act, because this is just a statutory act. You should know that there are different type of the laws, and the amendment of the law is become difficult as per their nature. For example, we have the constitutional law. Those provision that is written in our constitution that is very difficult to change, and article 370 was a part of the constitution. If the government can change this, abolish this, this is very easy to change. So this is all about the apprehension about the all this the Mandir Masjid issue. So just you should know the knowledge. You should not have to write all the thing into the examination. You should have the clarity of the concept. So if we are explaining this thing, it doesn't mean that you are going to write with the name of BJP and the leaders. You have just mentioned the nature of the debate. In the examination of UPSC, you don't have to bring the name, exact name of the BJP, RSS or Congress or any party. Just you should know the clearly the what is the issue. That's why we explain everything. So this is not, if we are explaining here, it doesn't mean that you are going to write exact thing. But yes, you should have the clarity that what is this act, what is the issue, why there is the debate. So please be very careful about this thing. We are explaining in a very free manner. We are bringing all the names and other thing without hiding the thing. But yes, whenever you are going to write, your answers will reflect the nature of the event, the conceptual clarity of the matter that is going on without being prejudiced to any political party or the organization. Okay. Next important news that we are going to take is the aid for the war, and it is with respect to the war that is going into the Ukraine and the Israel, also the aid for the Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific region. So here we will see that the US Senate has approved 95 billion program aid package for the Taiwan, Israel, Ukraine and Indo-Pacific region. Here you will see that there was the opposition from the Democrat. Who are the Democrat and who are the Republican? The Joe Biden, that party he represents is the Democrat, and the opposition party is the Republican. And the Republican is now being led by the Donald Trump. Donald Trump has the conservative view. He has the view of the institutional nihilism. Institutional nihilism means do not believe into the traditional institution such as the government body or the international institution or the different such bodies. He is not trusting on all these things. Here we have seen that to pass this, the Speaker of Senate, he has brought a proposal that US is going to ban TikTok if TikTok is not disinvesting the major share of the China. Now the TikTok is the Chinese company. They are not trusting that, and they have given the 1 year time for this. Okay, so House Representative Speaker Mike Johnson, he has brought this thing. Now we will see that this package is going to help the Ukraine, and until November, when the election into the presidential election into the US is about to be held, no sanction, no such packages is possible, because this is the last thing, and yes, they have to manage with all this thing. Here you will see that the opposition for this package was from the House Freedom Caucus, and this represents the ultra conservative member of the Congress. Okay, and they broadly support President Donald Trump. Caucuses are the group into the US and particularly into the legislature. They try to influence the decision making and policy of this legislative body. For example, in India, there is the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, if there is the bill that is going to be passed. So there is a different type of the group. For example, there is the farmer group, the bodies who are representing the farmers. They try to influence the policy. Same is there, but they are very strong into the US. In India, they are not that much strong, but the influences of these caucuses is very high into the US. They are known as the interest group, pressure group. Okay, interest group And the pressure group, those are the groups that influence the decision making. They are the combination, collection of the like-minded people. They want to influence in a particular direction, the policy and the laws. Okay. So here you will see that this is the very slim majority, and here we will see that the Senate and the White House are in the hand of the Democrats, despite there was some of the Democrats that was opposing this package and this policy. So this is all about from this news. You should know that total sanction money is the $95 billion. Out of that, mostly is going to the Ukraine, that is $61 billion, then $26 billion to the Israel, and remaining $8 billion to the Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific region. Okay. Besides that, you know already what are the caucus here, and you should know that what is the MAGA. MAGA, like India, Raga, there is the Rahul Gandhi. MAGA is the Make American Great Again. This is the slogan, this is the movement that is being spearheaded by the Donald Trump, and he is of the view that the institutional nihilism. What is the institutional nihilism? Institutional nihilism means they don't believe into the traditional institutions such as the government body or the international institution, all this. They don't believe, they want to get rid of all these things. So this is the agenda, this is the viewpoint of the Donald Trump and the caucuses. Okay. So this is all about from this news article. The news that we are going to take is the death and distress into the duas. This is talking about the tea garden and the workers of the tea garden, their plight, and it is into the context of the election that is going on. That shows that yes, these workers can bring their grievances to those who are coming for the seeking their votes. So we will see that lot of issues they are facing. So this will come under the society, the vulnerable section. The second thing that is discussed in this is the duas. So what is the duas? This comes under the geography. This is the geographical location. That is duas. Duas means duar, the door. It is the, in the regional language, it is the duar, door. The door, under that you enter into your house. This is the transitional zone. When you come from the outside and enter into your house, so transitional zone is the door. The same is this. When the rivers comes from the mountain and it's enter into the plain, this is the region that is the transition between the mountain and the plain. And this is particularly into these area of the Assam and West Bengal, because here the Shivalik is not there. And these duas are there, and their characteristic is already mentioned into your geography book NCRT class 11th. So here it is given that these areas have the particular characteristic of the moderate slope, thick soil cover with the high organic content, and also it has the mild winter, and the rainfall that is distributed across the year. This is not concentrated in the particular month such as the monsoonal month or into the reverse monsoon, like into the December and January into the Tamil Nadu. This is here the rainfall is throughout the EU, and that's why this is good for the tea plantation, and these areas are famous for the tea plantation. So here the discussion is that these people of the duas, they are mainly involved into the plantation of the tea, but these workers face lot of issues, and recently we have seen that the food insecurity and the death due to the hunger of the few of the workers, and that's why this was into the news. We have seen that the exploitation of the workers, and they are mostly the tribal and the local people. Okay. Here the one thing is more, the wages are very low, and many a times they are not given the wages. Even those who are the permanent worker into these tea garden, there are the large tea garden and the smaller tea garden. Larger tea garden has the workers who have the permanent into the nature. They are not paid their salary on the daily basis. The wages are not revised, and yes, minimum wage advisory committee on the tea in the West Bengal has unable to agree on the minimum wage for the workers. These are the things that are suffering, the people of these area, the workers of this tea garden, they are working. The second thing you should know is that the Duar tea, this Duar tea and the Darjeeling tea. Darjeeling tea is famous, but the Duar tea is not famous, and that's why the prices are the low. That is the other grievances, and that is causing the other impact on the overall salary of the workers. Recently, we saw that the government introduced the Cha Sundari scheme. Cha Sundari scheme to provide the housing unit to these workers into the tea garden. But the workers are fear about the loss of their traditional land. They think that they just give a housing unit and they snatch away their land, and that's why they are not agreeing, and the implementation has become very difficult. Okay, so the main issue of these workers is the inadequate housing and lack of electricity, and that's why they don't able to avail and do not able to accept the government scheme as well. So these are the issues. So you will study that GS paper 1 society, these workers plight. GS paper 2, where you study the government scheme that is there, and the GS paper 3, the agriculture. So tea plantation, what is needed here, it is given the what are the condition for the tea plantation. This is very important. Moderate slope, thick soil cover with the high organic content, and distribution of rainfall throughout the year, and the mild winter. So this is the need for the tea plantation, and the Duars are the famous for that, and Britishers introduced the tea plantation in this area. This is known as the Duar formation. Here the formation of Shivalik, that is the third range of the Himalaya. The greater Himalaya, the middle Himalaya, and lesser Himalaya. So this is the part of the lesser Himalaya. So please remember all this thing. Next news that is very interesting and that is curious. This picture is here, and this shows that Brazilian indigenous people from the Pataxo ethnic group, they march Brasilia, that is the capital of the Brazil, as a part of a Campamento Terra Livre, the free land camp on the Thursday. And these are the thousands of the indigenous people. They took the part, and this was the largest annual demonstration, and it has been started, and it is largest from the since 2004 when it was started to demand their rights. So here it shows that it is the Acampamento Terra Livre. This is the name of this movement. Okay. So you should know that these people, these movement is for the right demand for the indigenous people. And here it was mainly to defend and promote the indigenous right. And this is guaranteed by the Brazilian Constitution and the Brazilian Constitution of the 1988. Please remember that. And it is being done under this APIB, Articulation of Indigenous People of the Brazil. This is the group, this is organization of the indigenous people. It held this movement. Okay, so this shows that these people are demanding for their livelihood right, as well as what? Preservation of their culture and other thing, all these things that come under this movement. So this shows that this can come under the geography part, world geography, human geography at the global level, as well as the indigenous people across the world and the demand for their rights. So please remember all these things. Let's attempt some of the question from the topic that we have taken under the previous 5 sessions. So under this, we will take 5 questions from the topic that we discussed, and these are the most probable questions from the today's news that UPSC can ask. So let's solve one by one. The Duas region is primarily known for which of the following? Extensive tea plantation, large scale rice cultivation, ancient Buddhist monasteries, offshore oil and gas reserve. So here you will see that these area, Duas region, that is the transition zone between the mountain and the plain, They are very rich into the organic content. It has the annual rainfall that is the consistent. The rainfall in this area is spread across the year, and here it is the mild winter, and that's why the tea plantation was easy, and Britishers introduced the tea plantation in this area. So extensive tea plantation, that will be the answer. Next question. The Duar region is located in which part of India? Northeastern state, southern peninsular state, central India, eastern coastal state. So here you know that this Duar are the transition zone between the mountain to the plain, and it is particularly into the Himalaya, and Himalaya in that part where the Shivalik is absent. So it is into the northeastern states, particularly the West Bengal and the Assam area. Question number 3. A campamento terra lever is primarily concerned with which of the following issue? Promotion of indigenous language and the cultural practice, urban development and housing for the indigenous population, protection of indigenous land and traditional livelihood, and D, access to the higher education for the indigenous people. Okay, so here D is not correct. Access to the higher education for the indigenous people. Promotion of indigenous language and the cultural practice. Here it seems correct. Urban development and housing of the indigenous people. This is not directly connected, so this is incorrect. The protection of indigenous land and the traditional livelihood. So this also seems correct. So we have 2 correct. So most probable, this is which line gives the holistic picture? This protection of indigenous land and traditional livelihood. This gives the holistic picture. Okay, so this is just a part of this. So if you have to choose the most relevant answer, so it will be the C. C is the correct answer. Question number 4. Which of the following organization is the main driving force behind the Acampamento Terra Lever? FUNAI, National Indian Foundation; IBGE, Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics; APIB, Articulation of the Indigenous People of the Brazil; ISA, Socio Environmental Institute. So here we will see that Articulation of the Indigenous People of the Brazil, that is led by the indigenous people, and that's demand for the right and livelihood of the indigenous people into the Brazil, and the right on the basis of that provision that has been provided under the Constitution of the Brazil 1988. So please remember that in India we also provide different rights to the indigenous people. Beside that, we have provided the Forest Right Act of the 2006, as well as the Prevention of Atrocities Against the SCs and STs Act of the 1989. All this provide the protection of these indigenous people in India. Last question. Consider following statement about the indigenous right in Brazil. The Brazilian Constitution of 1988 recognized the indigenous people's original right over their traditional land. 2. The process of demarcation and official recognition of indigenous territories has been fully completed. Which of the above statement is correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2? Neither 1 nor 2. So you will see that the Brazilian Constitution of 1988 recognized the indigenous people's original right over their traditional land. This is correct. Second, the process of demarcation of official recognition of indigenous territories has been fully completed. So this is ongoing process and this is not completed. So second is not correct. So it will be 1 only. A is the correct answer. This is all about from the today's newspaper. We have covered most of the relevant area from the today's newspaper. So here we will conclude our session. Thank you for joining the session. All the best. Jai Hind.